another week in the books. NFL is done with. And by this point in time, we're pretty much close to just getting to the wild card victories. Anyway, rapid fire of getting through to what we're saying is the end of the week. A lot of ramble, a lot of scramble. And we're going to start with basically the game of the week I'm just playing. We're talking about the Patriots and the Chargers. That's enough time on the Patriots and Chargers. Basically, two teams ain't going nowhere. Figuring out draft. We ain't talking about them. Dolphins and Commanders. I thought this was going to be a more high point scoring match. Not that I thought the Dolphins were gonna lose. Not that I thought they wouldn't whoop somebody's ass. It was more so the fact that in like 2 plays with Tyreek Hill, the game was over. There was no point of even playing this anymore. It was just a routing after that, to the point that we were just running the ball, and even running the ball was wide open. Nobody could stop it. H was just going crazy. I was like, it's like, oh, okay, cool. We're just out here just scrimmaging now. And took the whole, like, I mean, I knew Washington secondary bad. I know they don't really have a pass rush anymore. But I thought the offense would at least be able to put up enough points to make it somewhat of a game before it ended up being a rally. Didn't happen. Dolphins took that one. Texas Broncos, a game that sort of that probably shouldn't have been as close as it was, considering how Russell Wilson was just sort of handing the ball over. But your boy C.J. Stroud was pretty much out here proving that, look, I don't go back-to-back losses. That's not what I do out here in these streets. But I was like, they had him up early, and then I was like, shout out to Dale getting hurt, but they was up on him for a minute. And then, Russell Wilson did, even though he throws them interceptions, he does Russell Wilson things where he throws the ball up. And look, people happen to catch it. I was like Sutton, who's been basically catching all these. We want to say 50-50 ball, but they not. They real like 80-20 balls, and Sutton just happen to be the 80%. That Russell throwing the 20% is crazy sometimes. But yeah, Texas was able to get it, which I'm like, cool, because I want them to stay more in the playoffs than Denver. That's just how I am. Lions and Saints. This might become a problem with Detroit. Almost in the mode of Baltimore, that they get leads and then they let the teams come back. But even with this, I was like, it was sort of both sides. I was like, the defense for the Saints didn't really play as good as they have sort of been this year. Detroit was getting a lot of just chunk yards on them constantly. And then, the Saints always, in the second half, always end up getting points somehow. Derek Carr got hurt, which, to me, I like, doesn't really affect their team at all, because they really just go to that boy Kamara and Taysom Hill. And Taysom Hill really the one getting no point. Let's be honest. Here's what he's been doing all season. Anyway, Lions basically take this. Saints, I don't even know what to say with them. It's a disappointment. Falcons, Jets. Falcons won. That gives them the lead in the division. That's what else can you say about them? This wasn't a game to even really talk about. It just happened to have the implication that someone got an win in the NFC South. So it might as well be them. Titans and Colts. I was like, there was a fun game going back and forth. Did not see it going back and forth in the way that it has. To be honest, Will Levis is over here doing his best Andrew Luck of putting his body constantly on the line for things. He had like a hurdle that just basically just like stopped in midair. He threw like a pick and was able to go down to basically take it out the dude's hand to get the ball back. Some Andrew Luck's type of stuff. But yeah, no, I was like, Gardner Minshew basically, they were sort of having a little time running the ball, but like Gardner Minshew just over here had like a deep ball to like Alec Pierce, and basically was able to draw them back and give a chance to Michael Pittman. But yeah, no, Titans put up a really good fight. Guess that's what you want to see, especially with a young quarterback. Derrick Henry still got it, the disappointing game, I feel like maybe for everybody, is the Cardinals beating Pittsburgh. And granted, Pickett got hurt, and that sort of changed the dynamic of the game because they wasn't looking bad on offense. Couldn't really get the run game, I guess, as well as they sort of been doing the last couple of weeks, considering how the offense looked. But yeah, once Pickett goes out, which is sort of like with Trubisky, um, yeah, no, they just couldn't score. Like they basically just was like in that first quarter, pretty much to Pickens, and that was really it. There really wasn't much else that they really put forth in this. I was like Buccaneers, Panthers. Once again, one of them games sort of where like somebody in the NFC South got a win, and Panthers ain't in that position to win, considering how everything's been going with their whole team. Um, yeah, so but Mayfield sort of it seemed like him and Evans got really back on track. Uh, I was like, Evans was pretty much open the whole time. It seemed like on like routes that were just constantly just open for deep, and him to taking the whole the whole field at the same time too. Jesus, crack my eye. Yeah, but anyway, Mayfield, and I was like, this is the team I sort of wanted to get into the playoffs because I feel like they actually got more of a chance than Atlanta and stuff. But hey, they got the win. I was like, that division is still going to be pretty close up here. Eagles and 49ers, one of them games that I was like, everybody was hyped up, everybody was talking about, everybody was anticipating, and it was good for about two quarters. Then after that, it was just shellacking. I was like, they tried. They had a good idea with Brown and Smith of like getting the ball out, getting them to them quickly. And the thing is, Philly is not too different than the 49ers. I do think the 49ers got more people that is like they get the ball in their hand, it's a wrap. With Debo and McCaffrey and Kittle, that it's what like we're going to talk. They're going to talk about Purdy and how good Purdy is, but really, to be honest, I mean, it's not that Purdy isn't good. It's not that thing. It's really that the offense is really that good with those skilled players that he doesn't have to do the same amount that Jalen has to. Like Jalen has to sort of get to put them in the spots to give them the chance to do the yard after the catch, where like they make the yard after the catch. Don't give it, and also Kyle Shanahan playmaking where he just like had that one where they threw it like 2 yard back to Debo and he was able to take it on like a slant with everybody in front of him. That's just play calling and scheme and all that other stuff too that nobody else seemed to have with the playmakers they have. But I was like, there was a lacking the Eagles. Like the 49ers might be the top team. Anyway, Browns and Rams. Only thing I really want to talk about is the fact that Joe Flacco's back in the NFL and his arm is still like that. That's all I really want. That's all I really took from this game. I don't. I was like, at this point in the season, it's just kind of like, meh, with both teams. It's really the fact that Flacco's back in the NFL, which is crazy considering the fact that they brought Flacco back out of, I guess, anybody. And like he had been bad in his last stint, but not enough that I thought that he would get the call compared to other people or just going with somebody else. Anyway, Flacco still throwing that ball deep. That's the one thing I took away from the game. Who cares? Chiefs and Packers. I love he got his mojo. It looks like everything that we've seen at the first couple weeks and what we thought about and what he could be is starting to hit. Getting the ball to receivers, making ridiculous passes in the mode that I was like, they talked about it in the Sunday night game, but I was sort of saying this earlier that Love plays a lot. A lot like Rodgers, but I was like, they also threw in Favre, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he really sort of does. I didn't think about that either, that all these quarterbacks sort of all are in a similar mode of how they play and throw the ball. Like, when he threw that one ball that was just up in the air, but it was right to Dobbs. Like, that one shouldn't have happened. And he did a couple, like, those floating passes kind of thing. Yeah. And I think this, like, on one hand, you can say this still sort of proves the Chiefs with their offense is still going to be somewhat a problem. Like, you really got Mahomes and Pacheco and Kelsey, and everybody else is trying. But that end of the pass where Scantling should have got a PI for that one does change the dynamic of the game as well. But it sucks for him that that's 2 weeks in a row that it was like to him in some form or fashion. But that really should have been a pass interference. It would have changed the game, and they probably would have had to change it. We're just talking about how great Mahomes is. But the Packers took it, and the Packers got themselves in the wild card as of right now. It's time to change. But now the Chiefs are sort of like third, I think. Yeah, third in their whole thing. So, and Monday night game, which was Bengals, Jaguars, which in the end has turned out to be the battle of the backup quarterbacks. To be honest, the Jaguars probably might have been more of in a loser position anyway if Browning didn't throw the pass. Oh, no, it wasn't him. They threw the pass to Boyd. Boyd threw. He didn't even have to throw it, but he threw it and it got intercepted by, I think, Josh Allen. And the Bengals did this a lot in this game where they were doing a lot of screens. And it wasn't just like, oh, they're just going to throw a screen or whatever. It was like a lot of like the double pass screens. They did this at least like 3 times. I know that 3-4 times that it's just like they did. None of them worked. Where it was like to Chase, the one to Boyd. I'm like, yeah, none of them worked. And they kept doing it, and it was really odd that they kept going to that well when it's been defended. And Jaguar got really a good amount of athletes in comparison to some of the other teams in the NFL. That's like, like that you go to the well too much. And I was like, Browning was actually doing fairly well in the passing game where you didn't need that as often. Like, even though they couldn't really run the ball, they was still passing the ball fairly well. And I was like the Jaguars as well too. Like, they was doing good, and I was like Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and then they sort of had to, do some basic offense. C.J. Beathard almost cost the game. There was a chance towards the end where he threw it to Ridley, but they had to call it back for a flag. I didn't think it was a flag, but changing that dynamic of the game because they could at least got some points, whereas the Bengals was able to drive it down and get a touchdown. Yeah, so it's going to be a crazy amount set of weeks because everybody's sort of jockeying for position because you really got, I was like, everything is really up for grabs right now. There's nobody that's, even though the record looked daunting like the Eagles, but the Eagles are going to play the Cowboys and that could change. I was like, the Dolphins and Baltimore, they're at the top, but they're not surpassing anybody at the same time. Baltimore was on the bye, so we'll see what that is too. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting couple weeks because there is going to be a lot of parity in this. That there's no real dominant team. Because even the 49ers who won, I was like, they'll be in first because the Cowboys beat the Eagles. The 49ers beat the Cowboys. So therefore, yeah, but nobody's. But I was like, they still haven't ran away just yet, even though their record is a little daunting at the same time. But anyway, that's this week of the NFL news. Just a little sprinkle, a little tidbit of whatever I had to say in the recap. You like the video? I appreciate it. If not, hey, maybe next time. But until then, I'm out.